everyone, and welcome to a Time Shifters podcast, Time Hop Edition. Tom and I are here once again, and this time we have a film that has just come out here in 2025 called First Moon. Tom, how you doing today?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Let's fill everyone in a little bit about the movie. Yep. First Moon is a 2025 Australian horror film written and directed by Peter McLeod. The story follows Jessica, a young waitress that is abducted by a religious cult who is determined to cure her of a sexually transmitted werewolf virus, or kill her in the process, before the next full moon. The film stars Lauren Esposito as Jessica, alongside Julian Curtis, Shannon Ryan, and Soren Jensen. The creature effects were crafted by Emmy Award-winning special effects artist Thomas E. Surprenant. Surprenant. How he pronounces his name, I have no idea. But he is known for his work on Star Trek, Star Trek Deep Space Nine, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and the Grinch film.
Some solid creds.
Very. This film was released on May 6th, so you can go and check it out now. You can rent or buy on Fandango at home or Amazon, and it can be viewed for free on Hoopla if your local library participates with that service. I was kind of looking forward to this one just because it was supposedly going to be a werewolf film. We've had a few of these independent werewolf films, and it's always interesting to see what they can pull off with it. This one was a little interesting because it was really mostly build up to a creature versus having the creatures running around all the time.
Yeah, in fact, because of the way that they went about attacking this one, there was the possibility that there might not be a creature and just the crazy musings of this particular religious cult.
I really had a suspicion that they would go down that route.
Yeah.
That this was really nothing. This is somebody's crazed idea, and everyone is a victim, and no one is actually inflicted with anything. And I was a little worried because I'm thinking, there's going to be a lot of people that cry foul if that's the case.
Well, especially since the poster has the face of a creature on it.
That is true. Yeah, the creature is actually visible in the promo, but that could be. They could have done that as someone's psychotic vision.
Of what this is supposed to be like. I was prepared for that. I don't know that I would have actually been all that upset with that, given that whenever you do the religious component, I get a little weary of some of that, but. The way that they were doing this, you spent the entire movie rooting for the monster.
Yeah, pretty much.
The cult was pretty awful. And, I mean, since they're all wearing the white collar, they're hardcore hanging this on Catholic. And I'm like, dodgy time to be doing all of that, too. But still... you were definitely not in the corner of the ones that are trying to save the people.
I kind of wish they had made the quote-unquote good guys, this Catholic order or whatever, I'd wish they had made them a little sympathetic, that made them a group of people who truly thought they were doing right.
Yeah, there were too many of them that showed almost no compassion for what they were doing, that it was hard to go, you're on the side of right on this one.
You really, truly felt there was people that they were enjoying the pain that they were inflicting versus, this is going to hurt me more than it hurts you. I'm thinking, nope.
And they did manage to at least build in one semi-sympathetic priest or whatever they were going for in this particular movie. And
acolyte, whatever he was.
Thomas character. And you were at least a little hopeful on that front. And I don't know, I actually kind of found it more satisfying when he kind of went the wrong way.
I would have bought him defending his order and defending the people in his order if they had been shown to be more sympathetic. If
Right.
they had been shown to be truly conflicted about having to do these horrible things, but doing it for the right reasons or anything. We saw one very cruel nun, and then halfway through the film, almost 3/4 through the film, we're introduced to like the leader of the order. I think at least maybe he's mentioned or seen briefly, but we actually see him more on screen, and he is just full blown crazy.
Yes.
And so you never get this, oh, I can see why you'd follow him.
Yeah. They also did something a little dodgy, like one of the other quote-unquote priests was actually the son of the leader of this particular order, who was also supposed to be a priest. So I'm like, I don't know what religion they actually all are supposed to be.
Yeah, I wonder if they're kind of aiming for one, but could only get costumes for another.
Yeah, perhaps. Yeah,
They just like, it's just a blend.
they didn't quite flesh out where this group was, and the funny part is they do kind of allude that he's not the top either.
Yeah, there's someone, he's answering to someone else.
Yeah, so in all of this too, and especially how they leave the film, there's actually opening to do it again.
Yeah, no, well, you get, you wonder, are they, like Vatican sanctioned? Are
Right.
they, an agency that have been ordained by the, the larger church to go out and hunt these creatures? So yeah, you could definitely see where this was setting up the idea of a universe
Of a kind,
that
yes.
could be built on.
Yeah. Especially since there was lots of talk that they had been tracking the one particular so-called werewolf for like decades. So they've opened it up to this is an ongoing thing throughout time. So you could have more fun with that.
Where the film with the title First Moon and everything, no one says werewolf except for, I believe, the woman that they are torturing and claiming. They're saying that you are a beast and soon you'll burn and the beast will come forward. They always say the beast or the creature,
Right.
and then when you actually see the creature at the end, you are going, werewolf?
Yeah, it's not really a werewolf.
Right, so I kind of like that they leave it open that it's not necessarily werewolf. The moon plays a factor apparently, but if you're trying to build up a world in which to play in for future films, I kind of like the way that they did this because you're not shoehorned into one kind of creature design.
Right. Because they let you kind of fill in the gaps, not that that's necessarily a bad thing, you are bringing an entire history of horror films along with you as you're watching this thing. So you kind of are expecting a werewolf, and then by the time you actually get... And even as they go into the transformation, when we finally get to see a creature, you're like, oh, okay, here we go. We're going to get our wolf. And then what you get is... hairless. Like,
Werewolf with mange.
yeah, it's just skin mostly. Otherwise, you can kind of get the sense of maybe a werewolf-like creature. It actually had a bit more feeling for me like the bat creature out of the more recent Dracula movie and all that, the Keanu Reeves one and all.
Yeah, I was definitely getting more of a vampire vibe
Yeah.
out of the look of it. But there's so much you could do to sort of write it off because, as I said, they don't say werewolf.
Yeah, this is true.
The woman just says, what? Where you're saying I'm some sort of werewolf is the only time you hear the word.
Right.
They do say things, they talk about silver, they talk about wolfbane and
Yeah.
things, so they lean heavily into that. And they also mentioned that they feel they have a theory that a transformation could happen even before the full moon if put under enough stress. So you could say that wasn't her final form. Maybe it was before the full moon, and this was a sort of a intermediate.
Sure.
So yeah, you could take it whichever direction you wanted.
Yeah, and actually, I was going to give them some solid kudos. Final creature, I had some pros and cons for, but while they were busy leading up to the final creature, some of what they were doing for the transformation sequence was actually pretty cool.
Yeah. No, I agree.
They did some nice face morphing stuff, the extensions of claws, the way the bones seem to shift. Whether that's just the actress just being really good at contorting herself, or they threw in some extra stuff. It was kind of cool.
Most of this film is just kind of torture porn.
It is, and unfortunately shot very dark. That was my big takeaway from that. There were points in which it was hard to watch if I was in a room that had light in it. Because it was really super dark. This was all done in a very closed off, as we find it throughout the movie, an old warehouse of some kind. And because it's just, you can't see anything half the time.
Well, maybe that benefits it. So for those of us who don't really need to see all the blood and,
right.
and visceral things that go on, it had kind of a neat, metaphysical, I guess, edge to it. That the people inflicted with this curse, whatever it is, that were all of the same bloodline, had like a
telepathic connection.
Could sort of meet in a safe space within their own minds and talk to each other. Like, that's a neat angle that I've never seen before in a story like this. I thought that was kind of cool. And it also led to some pretty neat looking effects when one of them would be murdered in the real world.
Right.
And you'd see their spectral plane self sort of fade away, a la Avengers Thanos snap, you know.
I was having more of a Buffy the Vampire Slayer go to dust kind of thing, but yes, the Avengers one works too.
So yeah, that was a neat addition to the story, and I like that, and that allowed us to get a little bit more exposition to what was going on that we weren't gonna get from these religious cult. You know, they didn't explain anything to anybody. They just said, you're cursed with this, and we're going to try to save you or kill you before it takes you over. And with little to no explanation as to who, why, where, how.
Right, yeah, no, I even like when the Thomas character is confronted about, so how often has this actually worked, that you've saved somebody? And like, he could come up with once.
Right.
Like, in how many decades / centuries of you doing this? You got one? Okay, your track record's not great here.
Right, and what's to say that one person that was supposedly saved wasn't actually inflicted?
Right.
Afflicted.
And this is where it starts to rub up with my personal feelings around religion too, is this constant insistence by the this particular order that they just know they're right when they don't seem to have any concrete proof that what they're doing actually does anything.
Oh, this was definitely like Spanish Inquisition.
Oh yeah,
and I think even the head priest, wasn't his name very similar to Takamata? I don't think it was, but I think it was very close.
Meaning you couldn't talk him out of it?
Wada.
Yeah, no, the character is Father Torquemada.
Yeah, all right, so yeah. So yeah, definitely leaning into the Spanish Inquisition idea.
Definitely on that. But since we're on the topic of the torture and all that, there is can't help but getting in the little foibles. I know this is still, despite the production quality and the effects, I imagine it's still a lower budget film overall. But they did unfortunately have some continuity issues that were driving me crazy. We spend most of our time with the Jessica character and torturing Jessica, and they're very fond of nailing her hands to a table while they torture her. And then when they go to put her back in her room, she doesn't seem to have anything wrong with her hands.
Yeah, I was wondering if you picked up on that.
Yeah, because I'm like, oh, okay, they put her because they were doing something to her back, cutting into her, and then I guess stuffing wolfsbane or something into the wounds. And when they covered her back up to take her back, you could at least see the blood stains of where those cuts would be. And I'm like, okay, kudos, which means now I'm looking at the hands. I'm like, okay, did you wrap the hands? What'd you do for the hand? The fact that they didn't even just do some gauze with some blood stain cheaply, that way you don't have to do any kind of effect on the hand. Like, no, there's not a mark on her damn hand. So that was bugging me.
Yep, I noticed it too, and I did kind of do a little bit like, come on.
Come on, you went to all the trouble to point out that she is bleeding profusely from her palms as it runs down the side. They're doing the whole artistic thing, the dripping blood into the little puddle on the floor. They're like, okay, you drew our attention to it, and then you just ruined it. Good job.
You just drop it. Yeah.
Didn't care for that. And then Jessica doesn't get a closed door. Every time they take her back to her room, the door's just hanging wide open. Half the time they don't put her in her cage.
Yeah, I didn't quite understand the reasoning behind that. I feel like they had a reason, they had an explanation, but I kind of missed it. They just assumed that she was broken and beaten already, or...
No, and the way this story is told, you have to get everything through exposition because it's not told linear. So, I mean, we just come in right away to Jessica is in this torture dungeon, and this is where we're starting, and then everything is either a flashback or a telepathy conversation, or just things she's hearing where they keep trying to point out that she is developing something as a result of the beast within. And it becomes hard to track what you're supposed to know and remember.
Yeah, even the how she got infected, it took me a while to even figure it out because it's a little convoluted because apparently her boyfriend slept with a woman who also slept with the guy that was the head beast.
Right.
I think is how it worked.
Something like that. Well, yeah, because I was getting confused with that too, because then we get the flashbacks of the so-called beast guy in the bar trying to be a stand-up kind of guy when she's having trouble with some of the bar attendees and supposedly saves her, but then that is not him. That's something. I don't know. It got convoluted.
It got convoluted because I think the guy that was trying to be the stand-up guy actually turned out to wasn't
Maybe
that
was
Thomas?
That was Thomas. Yeah. So
right. Yeah. So the actual beast guy was someone that just shows up in a flashback scene or in a he's making another one scene and like, oh, okay, that's that guy that we've never seen before.
Right, which we're referring to with her, and everyone's doing it through this like accusatory thing. I don't know. It was a bit much. I think this one could have stood to at least lay out their timeline a little better.
No, I think so. I was not crazy about spending as much time as we did with the torturing.
No, and nothing against the actress, but her scream was starting to really push me over the edge. Kind of like, I almost don't care that they're torturing you. I just don't want to hear you anymore.
Well,
and it was the same scream every time. It wasn't like I get it that if they're hurting you, you might yell out, but there was no variation in it either. It was the same. It was almost like they recorded her once and then just replayed it over and over again.
I'd actually like to see another film take place in this world, and I'd like to see with that same actress because by the time we finally get to the third act where she has started to transform, she started to kind of accept what's happening and she's taking control of the situation.
Yeah.
That's when I really got on board with this film, and I'm like, I want this.
Oh yeah. Because the first act was a bit tedious, but I get that you're in setup. Second part, the middle, I was like, oh, this is gonna be a slog, isn't it? And then when we finally make that transition, I'm glad you picked up on that too. When she is actually kind of really engaged, she's not. Things are no longer happening to her. She's about to make things happen. That got really good, really fun. I actually loved kind of the end of the film, especially the confrontation. Same. Not just her, the monster becoming the hero of a sort and doing her level best to make their day really bad, but the final conversation with the Thomas character, which also then kind of solidifies him more as a bad guy than the confused possible good guy he was going to possibly be.
The good elements in this film outweighed anything I would maybe call detracting.
Right,
or I wouldn't call anything outright bad. I think it was just needed a little tweak, a little push here or there, or a trim here or there, but what was good was really good.
Yes, I would have to say I more enjoyed it than not.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. All right, so as I said, though, that is called First Moon, and that is available now on your streaming services. Go and seek it out. This one comes recommended without much hesitation for a change. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've had an independent film like this where we're like, this is definitely worth the watch.
Yeah. So, go check out First Moon. If you do, come back and let us know what you thought of it. Follow the link here in the show notes to all our social media and to find our email addresses and everything, and we are looking forward to hearing from you. Until next time, we'll be back in in a week with a full episode. So until then, thanks for listening, everyone. Bye.
See you.